Welcome into Texans Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's show, I'm going to be breaking down the latest Texans playoff odds, plus 5 guys who absolutely need to step up this week up against the Tennessee Titans if the Texans have any hope, any chance of making the AFC playoffs. But first, before we get started, we are so close to 8,000 subscribers, and I want to thank each and every one of you for, 1, clicking into today's video, and 2, if you have subscribed, thank you so much for supporting the channel. We are so close. Don't do it for me. Do it for Matt Schaub. We're trying to get to 8K subscribers here on the channel. Get the latest Texans news and rumors all year long. All you got to do, go down and hit that sub button or go to youtube.com/TexansTV. Now, probably the reason why many of you clicked into this video, the first person that needs to step up, and it's not really just step up, he just needs to be there for the team, and we desperately need him back. It's CJ Stroud. It's CJ7, the captain, the franchise, QB1 for your Houston Texans. We need him back so badly. This is what Aaron Wilson reported this morning. Texans quarterback CJ Stroud, whose symptoms of sensitivity to light and noises have subsided, per sources, expected to practice today. He attended meetings last Friday, and teammates expressed optimism, Nico Collins among others, about him potentially returning against the Tennessee Titans. And hey, if we ever needed him back, it's this week. The Texans, I mean, it feels like we're in a Rocky movie and we're against the ropes, just getting pounded left and right now, and we need a big haymaker. We need a big uppercut from CJ Stroud to help us get back into the AFC playoff race. 2 huge games, and the Texans, as I'll tell you later on in the show, control their own destiny. But CJ Stroud, we need him back. Case Keenum, he was serviceable against the Tennessee Titans, absolutely awful against the Cleveland Browns. And Davis Mills, even though he came back and had a decent game up against the Cleveland Browns, I mean, it was in garbage time. The Browns had basically already won the game. So we need CJ Stroud if the Texans want to make the playoffs, and then even do anything while they're in the playoffs. They need Stroud back badly. So if you're with me, if you want CJ Stroud back this week, more than anything for this Texans team, I need you to spam CJ7 in the comment section right now. We need the leader. We need the quarterback 1. We need the franchise himself, CJ Stroud. Yeah, need him back on the field so badly. If you agree with me, type CJ7 right now. Next up on guys who need to step up, and this pairs directly with CJ Stroud. JuJu Scruggs, the left guard. If we're going to say CJ Stroud needs to come back, if we're saying we need our quarterback 1 back, well, we need to protect him as well. The left guard, the rookie out of Penn State, JuJu Scruggs, has not been good the past couple of weeks. He got beat multiple times by Titans defensive linemen, especially Denico Autry in the middle right there. Got absolutely whooped on a couple plays, and this past week was not really any better. Had an awful holding call that negated a 20-plus yard screen pass to Devin Singletary that really hindered this Texans offense. Has made multiple mistakes over the past weeks. I get it. He's a rookie. He's a first-year player stepping in on the offensive line. Not an easy position to play. But this week we need the best out of JuJu Scruggs. We need his A game this week up against the Tennessee Titans because, like I said, just a few weeks ago, 13 days ago, when the Texans were playing the Titans, he was not good. He got whooped up a ton by this Titans defensive line. So if the Texans want to win this week against the Titans, they need JuJu Scruggs to step up. And along with that, on the offensive side of the football, maybe one of the more disappointing guys this season for me, I really thought he'd make more of an impact for the Texans, is John Mechie. John Mechie III. I mean, this past week, really did not do a ton. I mean, as I'm looking at my notes right here, 0 receptions on 3 targets for John Mechie, especially when Tank Dell is out. Nico Collins is coming off injury. Robert Woods and Noah Brown are kind of older veteran guys, but you were really expecting one of the two, John Mechie or Xavier Hutchinson, to step up. Hutchinson did make a catch, was okay. John Mechie, though, not really where he needs to be, in my opinion. This is really worrying me for this offseason, especially in that the Texans are going to probably have to go get a wide receiver either in the draft or free agency if Mechie and Hutchinson don't improve throughout the season and this offseason. The next guy, especially with the news yesterday, glad to have K-Jack back, but Jimmy Ward on IR for the rest of the year. And Jaylen Petri, he got benched up against the Cleveland Browns. Now, he did eventually recover that onside kick that the Texans were able to get in the second half, but Petri did not have a good game against the Cleveland Browns. I mean, it was really an up and down game for him, just kind of indicative of his season. Jaylen Petri, he's had some high highs. He's played really well, and then he's had some low lows, which we don't really have to go to this. It's okay. I messed it up, Chip. But now with Jimmy Ward on IR, now you have DeAndre Houston Carson starting alongside Jaylen Petri, Kareem Jackson, and Adrian Amos. Those are your four guys in the safety room. So, Petri, you need to step up. You need to be better. He was one of my breakout candidates this season, and he really has been proving me wrong this year. I mean, I really thought he was going to be a top 5 safety in this league going into this year. Now, I'm not sure. He's really kind of regressed a little bit throughout this season, but I'm going to kick it to you. I've had some people that say Petri is the worst player on the team, and I've had other people tell me, Petri's not as bad as you think, Jeremy. You're being too hard on him. So I want to throw the ball in your court. How would you rate Jaylen Petri based on his performance this season, rated on a Madden scale? 1 being he's the worst player in the league. You might as well throw our long snapper John Weeks back there in coverage more than Jaylen Petri. Or 100, he's the best safety in the league. Jeremy, you have no idea what you're talking about. He's absolutely amazing. Give me your Madden scale down in the comment section right now. How would you rate Jaylen Petri? Next up, I couldn't really just call out one guy, but all of the cornerbacks need to step up this week. After getting embarrassed this past week, this needs to be a prove-it game. This needs to be a game where all these cornerbacks come in with a chip on their shoulder and they say, hey, we're not going to let that happen again going up against DeAndre Hopkins and these wide receivers for the Tennessee Titans. I mean, look at what Amari Cooper did against the Houston Texans. I'll leave it up on screen 1 second because, I mean, if this doesn't infuriate you as a Texans fan, if this doesn't infuriate all of the cornerbacks for the Houston Texans, then they're doing something wrong. 15 targets, 11 receptions, 265 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he had more receiving yards than all of the Texans wide receivers did combined. So if you're not pissed off about this, if you're not a Texans corner and saying, hey, we need to step it up this week, or else we might not have jobs this offseason after our performance up against the Cleveland Browns, because that was absolutely pitiful. I'm not calling out anyone in particular. I mean, I know everybody had their hands in this one. I know Derek Stingley had a couple balls caught on him. Steven Nelson had a couple balls caught on him. D'Angelo Ross, the former practice squatter, had a huge bomb thrown on him. So, I mean, it's really not just one guy. It's all the corners that really need to step up this week for the Houston Texans. And coming up, I'm going to be giving you the latest Texans playoff odds going into this week. I'm going to break it down kind of situation by situation and let you know what the Texans have to do if they want to get into the big dance. But before I do that, got to show some love to our sponsor in today's video, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy, and it's as easy as this, folks. You choose 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stat types, and place your entry. Prize Picks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Here are my picks for Thursday Night Football, and I mean, I just showed you the graphic of Amari Cooper, and they have him at 55.5 receiving yards. I know he's going up against the Jets, but this dude's on a tear. Give me the more on him. Same with Joe Flacco, passing yards at 226.5. I mean, after what they did this past week, I think those are both easy selections for you. Garrett Wilson, 45.5 receiving yards. Give me the more on that. And I think there will be some kicks in this game. So give me more on 1.5 field goals made by Greg Zuerlein. You can use my picks. You can fade my picks. Just do it at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Now, let's get into the Texans' latest playoff odds. After losing that game against the Cleveland Browns, it really, really tough game to lose right there. If you win that game, you're really setting yourself up well for these last couple of games. But now the Texans, they have a 33% chance to make the playoffs as it stands right now. And as we look at the AFC playoff picture, the Jags, Colts, and Texans, if The only saving grace for the Texans really is that the Jags and Colts both lost this past week as well. All three teams sitting at 8-7. So the Texans, they need to step it up these next 2 weeks. And I want to ask you, after seeing this AFC playoff picture, I want you to be honest with me. How are you feeling right now? Do you think the Texans will make the playoffs? These last 2 games, before I show you any of the odds, before I show you what will happen if they win or lose these next couple games, what say you? Will the Texans make the playoffs? Give me a yes, give me a no down in the comment section. Now, this part is pretty easy. If the Texans win both games, they're pretty much in. If they beat the Titans and they beat the Colts, they, are tied right now with the Colts. They're tied with the Browns and not the Browns. They're tied with the Colts. They're tied with the Steelers, and they're tied with the Bengals. They've beaten the Bengals. They've beaten the Steelers. And if they can beat the Colts in Week 18 and beat the Titans, then they're in. They're in the playoffs for that last wild card spot. And, you're like, okay, what if they split the games? If they beat the Titans and lose to the Colts, it's not looking good. You only have a 9% chance of making the playoffs. You need a lot of stuff to happen if you only beat the Titans and then lose to the Colts in Week 18, especially if the Colts win Week 17, then you're not getting in this scenario. Next one, if they beat the Colts but lose to the Titans this week, they have a 29% chance to get in. But like I said, you need other things to happen. You need the Bills for one. Not the Bills. You need the Bengals and you need the Steelers to both lose in Week 17 if this ends up being the case. And if you lose both of the games, you might as well pack it up and say bye, because the predictor said you have a 0% chance if you lose these next 2 games. Not good. Not good at all. So you got to at least win one of them, preferably against the Colts. But like I said, they control their own destiny. If they win both of these games, they're in. It's a win and you're in. The rest of the year should be the playoffs for the Houston Texans, because that's what it is. Win or go home these next 2 games, and they need to show out this week. That's why I said at the top of the video, you need CJ Stroud more than anything right now to step up for this Texans team. Now, if you made it to the end of the video, I want to thank each and every one of you. You're a real one in my book, and I appreciate the support all year long, all season long. You've made this season, this Texans year, not one to forget. So, if you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and spam those H's down in the comments. H-Town, hold it down. Let's go. And if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs for more Texans news and rumors, NFL news and rumors, and the dankest memes on the internet. Plus, if you haven't already, we're so close to 8,000 subscribers. Go down and hit that sub button. Go to youtube.com/TexansTV. And that's it for today's video. Appreciate everybody. Everybody, spam those CJ7s. Will it into existence that we'll say CJ Stroud this Sunday up against the Tennessee Titans.